How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to the house in Fata Morgana. Last episode was fantastic. The truth finally came out. They just sat down and talked. Giselle and Michel just smashed up the conversation. It was brilliant. It was beautiful. And now they've been spending like weeks just being friends. It's been a wonderful, like, uplifting, wholesome experience just listening to them like interact with each other, getting to know one another. And then, as is the nature of this story, it will all soon come crashing down. So, yeah, super fun. Anyway, we're gonna jump into the story here, just kind of enjoying ourselves and kind of waiting for the hammer to fall, but hopefully we can garner a few more precious memories before that does. And then I guess we'll get to see what happens. I'm not really entirely sure what to expect. So let's just jump into it. With each this was with Michel. It's Michel. With each passing day, it grew less and less than usual having someone having Giselle always at my side. I began more frequently engaging in silliness, speaking my mind and showing my emotions. I could say her name, and Giselle would turn around and smile at me, an unimaginable sight not long ago. For 10 years, I had lived alone. Solitude had been my normal, but that was very rapidly changing at her hands. We were continually getting closer, yes, but not in a romantic sense. If I had to describe it, I would say good friends was probably the most apt. Interesting. Because, like, that's how my first relationship actually started. Like, I had a crush on her, but, like, we were friends long before that. And it was good memories, good times. Like, having a close friend like that, no matter who they are, what they are, or whatever it becomes, it's worth that time. Time continued to press on, our relationship remaining relatively stable. Eventually, summer came, bringing with it the longest periods of sunlight I had experienced in many years. Then the leaves began falling from the trees, and before long, the world grew cold and dreary. So, if we remember the timeline, so she went to the village, now this is over a year ago, when she went to the village. She worked with them through the summer and the fall, and in the winter things got lean and the Lord found out about them, and so spring is when she kind of like came back. So now they've gone through spring, summer, and fall, and now we've gone to the winter. So yeah, so she's almost spent a year at the mansion since she got booted from the village, which means that the Lord must be coming to town soon, or has come to town recently. That winter, the fireplace was never without a crackling blaze in its belly. The boiled wine we drank was undoubtedly middling and cheap. But she said with a smile, "I've never had wine this good before." And though I didn't say anything, I felt the same way. The sun set much earlier, and having stopped using candles, we found ourselves habitually gathering around the fireplace when it grew dark. Oh, is this maybe yes! Ah! This picture alone is the best picture of the entire series so far. There's just so much I love about this right now. Aww. Okay. I can compose myself, but this feels so good. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? Ow. Elbow. I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. Or because there's ale. Drunkenness makes even bad singing and storytelling pleasant to the ears. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say. Yes? Do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Please, don't tell me you're bringing the obese rat incident back up. No, not that. Before that. Before we could actually talk to each other. I believe I suggested we read something together if you ever felt the inclination. You might have. I can't say I remember. Are you sure about that? You turned down my proposal saying I was wasting my time. But look, It actually happened. Even if you don't remember, I'm sure you never thought this moment would come. I was, for the most part, focused on making sure things didn't get any worse between us. But to be honest, I didn't expect there would actually come a time where we would sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book. Aww. You never know how things might pan out. Actually, I do remember. I remember how I tried to push her away, how much I mistrusted her. I was nothing but hostile toward her. People change. And perhaps, if they can, so can the future. Maybe I can hope that, like our friendship, there's a chance the future might take a turn for the better. Is something the matter? I don't much care for hypotheticals, but if by some chance I were someday to be able to return to that house, should that time come, that house is home to her nightmares. Even if it didn't happen until after my father was gone, it wouldn't erase what he had done to her there. She acts like nothing's wrong, though. I don't know. Have her wounds healed, or do they still remain? Should that time come? Should that time come, if that day comes, I will do what I can to ensure you have a comfortable life in the city. Though I will not be able to inherit the estate, I can work something out. I see. Thank you very much. But if you would be comfortable doing so, I would be pleased if you were to join me. I mean, as a servant. As a servant. Yes, as a servant. We're short on hands. I see. A servant. Do I really need to repeat myself? Yes, as a servant. Alright, sure. I think I will. I would like to accompany you, Master. How exciting. I'm sure a wonderful future awaits us. I pray so. Now, back to the story. I believe we had just gotten to the point where the knight set out to defeat the monster and save the princess. I bet he was a big, buff, muscular knight. Let's not talk about how muscular he was. Being jealous of a character in a book. Well, to be fair, books were his only friends for a while. She let out a gentle laugh, and I thought I smelled something sweet on her breath. Was it her scent, or perhaps just my imagination? I had no way of knowing. Sure, yeah, just friends. Just friends. We sat so close that even the slightest shift seemed sufficient to allow me to hear the sound of her heartbeat, causing mine to accelerate. Curiosities flooded my mind. What might she be thinking right now? What does she think about me? And as much as I tried to banish them, I frustratingly failed. I was just getting caught up in the moment. I had just briefly lost my way. Though I tried to convince myself otherwise, it was all in vain. When had my pulse gotten so rapid? When had my skin gotten so flushed? Why was this happening to me? I thought I had already learned my lesson about having feelings for someone else. Ooh. When did he have a crush last time? That's interesting. Before long, winter retreated and our second spring came to take its place. A full year had passed since we had resumed living together, and I don't think it was my imagination that this year felt much warmer than last. Spring seemed to have arrived a bit earlier than in the previous years. One night, when the breeze carried on it a pleasant residual warmth, Giselle escorted me out to the garden. Come on, Master. Hurry up. It's the middle of the night. What's so important? I just found it myself, and I couldn't wait until morning. A rose! It blossomed! A rose. Here it is, the beginning of the garden. Giselle had, over the past year, cleaned up the new nest of weeds that had been strangling the garden. Onto the side of a small plot of turned soil swaying in the wind beneath the moonlight was a single red rose. When did you? Last year, I requested flower seeds. But I just couldn't get them to grow, and I was starting to think they never would. But look, it's only one, but it did. I had no idea. Of course you didn't. I didn't tell you. Why would you keep it from me? I wanted to make it a gift for you, Master. What? Why? Roses make wonderful gifts, supposedly. No, that's not what I meant. Why me? I haven't given you anything. Consider it a symbol of my hope that we'll still be this close out another year from now. If we are, then this is yours. I don't follow her reasoning. I don't follow it at all, but the sight of the deep red rose almost melting in the dark night was perhaps the most wonderful thing I had ever seen in my life. I had never understood why some people found flowers so enchanting. They were always just plants to me. But that one, on that night, was undeniably beautiful, majestic. And like the young child seeing a flower for the first time, my hand automatically reached out for it. Not knowing the proper way to appreciate flowers, I didn't gently caress its petals or take in its fragrance, but snapped its stem. Oops. Oh, you picked it? Are you going to bring it back to your room? When I finally processed her question, that was when I realized I probably shouldn't have let it grow in the garden. I should have let it to grow in the garden. From the base of its stem where I'd plucked it, a droplet succumbed to gravity and fell to the earth. With it came the delayed realization that I had ended the plant's life. But it was overpowered by childish possessiveness. This stunning flower was mine. Moonlight trickled down from the heavens, giving a gentle blush tint to my hands and the smile on her face. You're going to need a vase, then. Give me just a minute. For the briefest moment, the moonlight must have played a trick on my mind. Aww. Dang it! This is also a really good thumbnail. Huh? Master? What on earth am I doing? A look of bewilderment filled Giselle's face, just inches from mine, which hammered in the reality of what I'd just done. The thought had just crossed my mind that perhaps her black hair might prove a good backdrop for the rose, but it was supposed to remain a simple fancy. What was that about? An excuse. I need a good excuse. A drawing. A drawing? Right. I would like to preserve it on the campus. What? What? I mean, that rose on its own does not make a very compelling picture, so I'd like to include you as an accessory. Wait, you want to draw me too? Merely as a background element. You're slightly more interesting than a vase, that's all. I've never seen you draw anything before. I just never got the urge. You know how? Many years ago, my brother taught me. I don't think I can handle being a model. I've never had a drawing done above me before. You would probably be better off with just the rose. You gave it to me, didn't you? That means I am free to do with it as I please. I did. I didn't mean to sound so rude. I just had no real interest in drawing the rose. But I couldn't just take it back either. What a weird... Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly. I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. So I fled to the cellar in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. Oh, it's so realistic, it's frightening. At the far wall, I found a rectangular panel of wood and several sticks of charcoal. My materials were obviously nothing compared to what the court artisan might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to do a portrait any kind of justice. God, what am I doing? I want to bury my head in the sand. Giselle was waiting for me at the stained glass chamber. It seemed she was still just as uncomfortable as when I left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before averting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual, it would make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek? I don't know, man. Because she's opening her mind to the possibilities that you guys might not just be friends? What should I be doing? Stay perfectly still, please. Do you need me to pose or anything? No, just get comfortable. Look away. Why? It's hard to work when you're watching me. Aww. What? I feel like I have to sneeze. Hold it in, please. What now? Can I see it? I've barely drawn anything yet. As long as our eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, as my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose, but Giselle. At first I had regretted my in-the-moment proposition, but I was beginning to think I hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would never have been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have the kind of courage. This isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being a sharp-tongued, unapproachable recluse? Was that what I wanted to strive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we even ended up so comfortable around each other. That she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. I had stopped sketching at some point. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I'm interested to hear her side of everything. What in the world was going on? One of my roses had finally bloomed, which I thought would put a smile on Michel's face. But rather than improve his mood, it made him go all strange. It had made him say he wanted to draw something. I'd never seen Michel draw anything before. I can't sit still. I tried to sneak peeks at him every once in a while, but any time our eyes met, he gave me a stern look this way stare. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking at the archangel in the stained glass window. What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who would consider a drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me. No, not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close, to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michel's attracted to me. And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. He compares me to an obese rat, calls me an amateur at chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Yeah. Oh boy. Huh? Oh, yes. If it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This will take a very long time to complete. Oh, no trouble. You had a very stern look on your face is all. I was doing that bad of a job hiding it? I don't want you to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask you. I'm sorry. Honestly, it's no trouble. I mean it. You just took me by surprise is all. I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not a talent I was blessed with. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have a bad art drawn of them. What? What's he getting so negative about? I wasn't the only one making a face. His head was turned slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I'd never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who had just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't at all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, Master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. I would... But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was also enchanting. I lost myself in it. I would be happy with anything drawn from me by the man I love. Ooh. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I had said, my mind had gone blank, and I couldn't form a coherent thought. I mean, I like you, like family. You're like an older brother to me. I mean, love, like love for a brother. Hey, say something, Master. I kind of spit a little there, sorry. Give me your usual expired shy. Come on now. Go on, give me your best good grief, and I'll hurl me out the window. Oh, come on, please. Show me some disappointment. Master? Huh. When the wood panel was using as the canvas and the charcoal in his hand crashed to the hard chapel floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. That's not what I expected. I didn't have the presence of mind to wonder why he knocked over the canvas, or why his hands appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped towards him, and when I did, the moonlight shining down upon us intensified, and our gazes of jade and ruby, oh no, intertwined. Oh my gosh, it was both of them. If I could do two voices there, that'd be sweet. Fetch. Oh boy. Good grief, she's really pretty, so I don't blame you, man. There was visible rosiness in his ethereally pale cheeks. Master? Flickers of panic darted beneath the surface of his normally stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over at me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon's spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in a frozen world robbed of all rational thought. Riding the moonlight's current, his hands fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I expected, but it felt pleasant on my flesh skin. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart, too. His breathing stopped for a moment, then he gulped. He brought his head in. Fetch, really? Fetch. I closed my eyes and... Oh, no. Gosh darn it, Giselle, I'm so sorry. Dang it! I then shoved him away with all my strength. Michel rolled back, knocked his head on the side of a pew, and began groaning in pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. What have you done, Giselle? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you hurt? I am fine. Sorry, you startled me. I truly didn't mean to knock you down. You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. What? Get some rest. Good night. Oh, man. He turned away, marching off into the corridor enshrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I had caused that, but I hadn't realized until it was too late. I felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm gonna hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping he would say it was one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened and tomorrow go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him. And that was no mistake. You would sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happily with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him. Find him. Tell him the truth. You know, obviously she's suffering from an effective PTSD, you know, or something even more severe. Or a severe form of it. Semantics at this point. Remember how in the first story it was him who was cursed, and how he couldn't touch anybody or he would kill them? I think that was a misinterpretation of her, because she's the one who's cursed. He's cursed in flesh, you know, has appearance, but has no bearing on his soul. But she's been so scarred by what was forcefully taken from her that it is making it so that there's that barrier of just sheer panic, like a packet of just that bundled up fear and hatred and energy tucked away inside her mind, buried so deep that she can pretend to be normal, buried so completely that even she doesn't remember that it's there anymore. But then in the moment when she finally was going to unlock and let herself be vulnerable, to allow herself to be hopeful, to really bare her soul through the physical intimacy that was just about to happen, that skittered to the surface. And that's real too. That's something that is super real. Those who suffer from abuse, those who suffer from assault, find that this is the most difficult part of recovery. It can destroy their lives. They can overcome it, but it's something that they will always have to battle in some way or another. Some people can ultimately kind of put it behind them, at least enough to be able to process it properly. But a lot can't. And for everybody, that process often takes a lot of time. I'm glad that she's going to have the trust and the faith to be able to rush to try and at least tell him how she feels and maybe try and explain. But not everybody has that option. Not everyone can. And then there's also those who fall in love with people who have those types of feelings, and that they have taken upon themselves, despite challenges, that love is worth it, you know? And so I don't know what's going to happen here, but there's something inherently horrific about the idea that just because, like, when she was assaulted, they didn't, that assault, that force wasn't just humiliating, wasn't just demeaning, wasn't just terrifying because of the threat of physical violence and the danger to her family, but these scars followed her for the rest of her life, because that type of damage doesn't go away. That's why those crimes are so heinous. That's why it's upsetting when you hear about rapists who get effectively a pat on the wrist and a kick out the door, because they never can replace what happened there. They never can take back the horror and the pain and the suffering that goes through a traumatic experience like that. That's the beauty of forgiveness and of human determination, though, is that despite these scars that she holds, I think she can find healing, and I think she has been finding healing. She's just not quite there yet. Things just went too quickly, and they tumbled about each other so fast and so suddenly. But I really think they could get there, because they already have the most important factor, which is genuine love and trust for one another. So I don't know. It's just a good thing to remember. It's easy to think that once somebody's gone through something, that it's over, it's over. But for some of these types of events, it's never over. that it becomes an integral part of you, yourself, your core, your soul, that doesn't just depart or get snipped off and carried away. It's a burden. We all have these scars, but some of them run far deeper and are far more tenacious and insidious. So let's see and hope and pray that they can find some kind of resolution. What am I doing, for God's sake? I'm not in my right mind. Something about me was off today. I couldn't control myself. I was saying things I didn't mean, doing things I didn't intend to. I had never meant to do that. But at this point, I had no choice but to admit my feelings. I couldn't pretend I didn't know what they were anymore. How long had I felt this way? A week? A month? 6 months? Or maybe a full year? Had they already developed when we started anew? No, that was when the bricks were laid, though. There's no such thing, I really genuinely don't think there's no such thing as love at first sight. But the foundation of love, the foundation of a relationship can be established in the blink of an eye. There are people you just click with. There are people you just feel bound to souls somehow. It's an incredible feeling, and it's a weird feeling. But just because you have that connection doesn't mean it's meant to be either. Because love is built, I'm comparing love to an architecture because it's something you build over time. It's never done. You're always expanding, always growing, always enhancing. But it starts on a solid foundation of trust and friendship. And it's built over the course of time through love, commitment, and bonds together. That structure is something that sometimes needs to be torn down and rebuilt. You don't ignore the problems, kind of like if you have a crack in the wall, or if you have a leak in your basement. If you just ignore them, the problems set into rot and eventually crumble your building from within. But instead, you strive to work together as craftsmen to make something wonderful. And much like an archway, the archway has a keystone in the middle. It's this idea that the arch is really, really structurally sound as long as the pieces are lined up and the teamwork is taken and the methods used to build the arch are properly set. And then you find that they support each other, that they bear each other's burdens, and they carry themselves in a manner that makes it so that the building can be strong. But without those keystones, without the proper placement, the cutting and the resolute placement in the right order, companions side by side, working in tandem, you can't make that archway support any weight. And that's what a relationship is. It's about building something that can take the burdens of life and stressing with them together, because together you can do far more than you could by yourself. And so, yeah, it's scary and he's acting strange, but this forging and this bonding started long before this moment. The foundation is just there. And it just seemed so perfect a time for them to start construction, despite the fact that they think they're insane. Because that's also the thing about love. Love is absolutely insanity. It doesn't make any sense most of the time. No, the when didn't matter. It didn't change the facts. I was still attracted to her, regardless of when it had begun. Oh, but she pushed me away quite literally. I sighed at myself. Why should I be disappointed? She was nothing like me. I was reclusive and unsociable. She was the exact opposite. She was the kind of person who would confidentially tell someone how she felt. Confidently tell someone how she felt. And she'd done exactly that. She said I was like a brother. But I hadn't listened. As a matter of fact, could I have been any more presumptuous? I don't deserve to love anyone. It's better this way. Yes, Giselle, good. You're stopping the thought process. Master. Good. What? I told you to go back to your room. Master, I need you to listen to me, okay? What? About what just happened. That doesn't count. You can't count any of that. Huh? That I said I love you and I shoved you? That doesn't count. Huh? Right, I was planning to forget that anyway. So don't worry. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that it's not something I should have said on a whim just because the moonlight was kind of pretty tonight. I wasn't supposed to be so casual. The way I said it doesn't get across all how I meant to care, how much I really care about you. It should have been something with more impact, rather. Me looking you straight in the eyes, my heart jumping around like it's on fire. That's how I should have said it. What are you? I'm saying, I want you to give me one more chance to do it right. Giselle? I... Calm yourself. I am calm. No, you're not. In no sense of the word are you calm. Fine then, I'm not calm, but I am clear-headed, and I mean every last word. Listen very carefully. I love you. I love you so much that I think my heart's going to explode. Fetch. Oh, my heart's gonna explode right now. Michel, come on, man. What? Huh? You mean like family? Like a brother, right? Romantic love! Romantic! What? I wasn't upset back there. No, I was elated. What? He's like, I am dreaming now. What world am I just... My mind couldn't keep up with what I was hearing. Half out of breath where she stood, Giselle was frantically insisting that she loved me. Was I dreaming? Master? How do you... I would like to hear how you feel about me. Assuming I interpreted that correctly, you were going in for a kiss back there, right? Right. So I can take that as your answer. Giselle looked up at me with bleary eyes. She had feelings. For me. It was a miracle. I could hardly breathe. I felt like someone had struck their hand in my chest and was squeezing my heart. I just had to say yes, and a smile would spread across her face. I could bring her joy, and all it would take is a single word. I had no reason to say no. My happiness was standing right there, in front of me. Oh no, you better not. I will punch you through this screen somehow. What more could I ask for? All I had to do was reach out and claim it for myself. I had tried to do exactly that in the chapel, and I could do it again. I loved her. I was a twisted man, cast out of the world, left with nothing. I had no way to make her happy, but still Don't tell me you've forgotten what you are. That was a witch. Don't do it, witch. No. Tell me. There was no moonlight to give me that nudge. Gosh, freaking dang it! Do not feel that way about you. What? I am so mad right now. I can't even... I kind of thought I was seeing it coming, but I don't care. I am mad. I'm furious at you, Michel. What the fetch is that about? Huh? What the... Are you serious? Are you serious? Can't... No! You suck. You suck. I hate you. I also get why you're saying it, because it's stupid. You think you're stupid and you have no self-esteem and it sucks and the witch is in your freaking brain. I got confused for a moment. I apologize for the misunderstanding this seems to have caused. All the color drained from her, like a flower wilting before my eyes. A heavy sigh spilled from her lips. Her jade eyes swayed lifelessly back and forth. I hadn't thought mere love could possibly have such weight, but she looked as though I had just told her she was to be executed. I see. I'm sorry. I let it get to my head. Sorry for making such a racket. Really, God, what was I thinking? I got way ahead of myself there. Her fox energy hurt to watch. I had hurt her, and this was the result. You wanted to protect yourself, even if it meant hurting her. But look where that got you. You would have been a lot better off going with it. Because when she learned the truth, she would have pushed you away anyway. I'm sorry. I'll be going now. Sorry for barging in on you like that. Oh my gosh. She made her way into the shadows toward the door. There, you did it. You preserved your peace. This is the witch. I'm going to speak in her ethereal voice. I got the feeling she would never again turn back. Your mistake was ever getting close to anyone. What I'd always wanted was right there in front of me, and I was so close to obtaining it. And you pushed her away. I actually did love her. She would never love the real you. No, she couldn't. I'm guessing that's his mom. You're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me. Who was that, I wonder? Ugh. Good night, Master. She was leaving. I wanted her here, and she was leaving. I simply had to acknowledge my feelings, and she would come back. Was I really content to let her go? No, dang it, no! In my weakness, I mistrusted her. I hurt her. I mistreated her, I hurt her. I let her go and was about to lose her, even though she said she loved me, and I felt the same way. Wait, please don't go. Your voice is shaking like a scared child's. What are you hoping to tell her like that? She was different. She absolutely was nothing like anyone in my past. She won't be any different. I decided I would try one more time. To believe in myself and to believe in someone else. Please! I lied. Giselle, from the bottom of my heart, You'll regret this. No, I won't. Oh, faith in humanity restored. Oh, I sincerely love you. And that witch is like, boom. The fragrance of the rose enveloped me. Her arms wrapped around my chest were both imbued with strength and shaking like mad, as though the slightest touch might shatter them. Oh. Why didn't you just say that in the first place? She stood in a quavering, sniveling voice just inches from my ear. I lacked sufficient control over my mind or body to return her embrace or to run my hand through her hair or do anything more than support her weight. I'm sorry. Jerk. Bully. Brute. You don't get to play us off as a joke. I am truly, sincerely sorry. You've given me two different stories. Tell me, which one's the truth? Were you just confused, or do you actually love me? I want to hear you say it again. The truth is, I love you. Again. I love you. Without fumbling this time. I love you. I've said it several times now. Not good enough. Again. Have mercy, please. I'm about to die of humiliation. Can I really believe you this time? You're not going to say you were lying again? No, I won't. Then we both feel the same way about each other. Shockingly enough. What's there to be shocked about? I didn't think there was anything likable about me. You really have to do something about that pessimism. I'll try. I'm in heaven. I'm so happy I could cry. You are crying. You are. All over me. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. When you first said no, everything went black. I wasn't sure what I would do anymore. I'd lost all hope. It's really bad that she's that close to teetering, but I can't blame her. I really do feel bad about that. But you had a change of heart. Now you're willing to have me. Yes. And everything I bring with me? That was the idea. That, man. Absolutely everything, right? You're pushing that point rather hard. I have a request. Huh? It's something I don't think I can ask you anytime but now, while we're in the moment. I will do anything, so long as it's within my ability. Tell me, what is it? Will you look at my naked body? Yeah, I know why. She might not even be ready for it tonight, but I know why. Because of what she went through. It's the ultimate shame. Katawa Shoujo, we had the similar thing. If you do the Hanako route, it's almost the exact same when it comes to this. It's this idea of like showing what you're ashamed of bearing your whole self. You're nothing but you. And for someone like Hanako or for Giselle, it's more than just symbolic. It's true. And because of that, it's something that is truly precious. This is okay. I'm gonna be doing a lot of rambling, but this is important to me. You know how I've said that I don't mind like the ecchi or even like hentai type of content. It can be in a show, it can be in a game. I really don't care. What I care about is the meaning of it, you know? Is it just to be getting a rise out of you? Is it just to be something that you pleasure yourself with? Or is it something beautiful? Something that reminds you of something real, something that's true to your heart, something that you might be wishing for, or something you might have found, and you're so lucky when you have found it, and you can't count your lucky stars every time you think about it. This idea of being able to share such an intimate moment with somebody, and like what that means to you and to them. I'm not a big champion about something like abstinence. Like it's definitely not the right way to try and have like safe like relationships and intimacies. But I do believe in it in a sense, because I believe that there is something magical about being able to be vulnerable just to those people who you care the most about, those people you love. It's kind of like this precious moment for yourself, and I think we all experience it. And even the people you look at who might be more flagrant with their affections, I still think that there's a part of every person who understands that bearing your whole self is more than just a physical pleasure. There's something intimate there, something deeper that runs through the soul, and that's something that we should keep precious and cherish. It's something that I think is the key and the foundation, again, of this building that we're constructing, this home of love, this wonderful construction, this idea that at our purest in hearts and our souls, there is something that we can only share with very select people. And that when we do, it's one of the most beautiful things. It's not about the raw, like the bareness of the skin. It's not about that. It's about what that represents to you. And that's one thing that's always been hard for me. I never dated a whole lot of people. It was never because I didn't have opportunity to. It's because I cherish these types of feelings. I hold them close to my heart. I always have. And it's such a vulnerability. I may not have scars, but like Giselle, it's not something I can just do. It's something that means something very important to me. And so everyone's different, obviously. Don't agree with all of the things I'm saying. I'm just trying to tell you why this is so beautiful to me. And this thing is like, you read this line. If you isolate this picture, if someone skips ahead to this video you're watching right now and this is all you see, I'm probably sounding like a mad person, but you have to understand what this means for these two. That's what she means for Giselle. It's not just her offering herself to him, offering to have pleasurable experiences. It's her bearing her whole self. Something that she feels no one can see, and she's finally found someone she wants to share that with. She wants to share her pain. She wants to know that someone can love her no matter what she's been through. And that's something truly worth fighting for. It's such a good moment here. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it involves a naked body. Yeah, Katawa Shoujo is a good example of this with the Emi route, which is the one I played through. Because it had to do with when she bore her soul, It had nothing to do with the intimacy. The intimacy was a part of that relationship way early on, but that really bearing of her soul wasn't the climax moment for her relationship with the main character. The moment when we knew that there was something special there, and we were really understanding Emmy, the character, had nothing to do with the bedroom. Had everything to do with what she harbored in her heart and felt she could not share with anyone else. And that's why this is so powerful, and that's why it's so meaningful. And I think we all have that in our hearts. And like Giselle, oftentimes it is shared with the ultimate just being of ourselves physically. It's so beautiful. And the thing is that I guarantee you that any movie that has any type of relationship, especially romantic ones, that hit your soul with a hammer and made the mark so powerful that you'll never forget it for the rest of your life, had moments where the characters bore their true selves in a way you could understand because you understood the character. And that's the most amazing thing about writing a story and reading it, is the fact that people can make this. Can you believe someone conceived this idea? They wrote this, and I'm blubbering myself through the crazy conversation about how incredible this scene, this moment is, and how it's the highlight of the freaking game up until this point. This is the moment. I had no idea I was gonna have 2 peak moments in this episode, but here we are. Bam, number 2. What? More specifically, my scars. You are going to have to see them eventually, in which case I would like that to be now. Poor Michel, my brain would be exploding. A year ago, I had refused to look at her scars. I had been certain I wouldn't be able to accept what they represented. The abuse my father had subjected her to. If possible, I would have preferred never having to face that. But I, more than anyone, needed to know. It was my responsibility. I had to accept reality, not grimace or avert my eyes. I had to face up to what had been done to her. Okay. I'm guessing we're not going to see anything, because if not, we're going to have a return to the coconuts, but I couldn't bring myself to look at her as she hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustling made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense my joints were practically creaking and my heart felt like it was being stepped on. Yeah. I feel like I'm made of stone. I'm ready. You can turn around. Oh boy. Alright, YouTube. Alright, come on. This isn't your usual stuff. Come on, let me have this. Alright. I'll count to 10. She's laughing at me. I feel a whole lot better seeing you so nervous. I'm turning around. Okay. Okay, it's more or less safe. Wow. She is beautiful. Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but she couldn't hide the pink flush spreading across her cheeks. It contrasted well against her white, but not excessively pale skin, as did her jet black hair. Sorry, it's not anything nice to look at. Are you serious? In what way was this not a pleasant sight? I had never before been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure of comparison, but I was certain the same sight of any other woman in the world would not have had the same effect on me. Definition love right there. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. Were I more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which perhaps would have brought a sheepish smile to her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce were incoherent rasps. Oh, true life right here, man. Please say something. I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm clean. You're not hideous. You mean it? I mean it. Why would you think so? Because You are not unclean, not in the slightest.
You mean it?
I do.
Even seeing this?
Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following her lead, I dropped my gaze to her lower body, and there I saw her scars. Swollen, red and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. Dang, if they weren't properly healed, they must have been deep. As she had described for me, the lines were arranged to form letters carved into her skin. So that's why she said I would have to see them eventually. My instincts told me these were wounds she would carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated at the fact that this person who had done this was out of my reach, and the fact that I could do nothing for her. What went through my father's mind when he looked at these? What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? I don't know. It's probably about control, compensation, like a lack of confidence in in themselves, and thus they seek fear and domination. Who knows? Mental illness, most likely something in there. Why my father of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain. But I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal stakes piercing the walls of my heart, blood streaming through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? What was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I came up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her. That I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind and a dagger in the gut. You are in no way hideous, no matter what marks are left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence.
Thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. When I was down in that village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. That made me think I'd reached the point where I was so tainted. Anyone could see it. I'm sorry.
Why should you apologize?
You were frowning really intensely. I thought I might have made you mad.
No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villagers, and myself. Dang, dude. May I touch them?
You may.
My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favors by hesitating. Whew, did you buckle up with this one? And soon my fingertips brushed her skin. She shuddered. Does it hurt?
No, there hasn't been pain in some time.
I could feel her trembling where I touched her. It didn't seem like there was going to subside anytime soon. Soon she began whimpering softly. Oh, fetch, man. Her lips moved as though she was trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. Tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well.
I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but I also kind of hate myself.
Hate yourself? But why?
Because I can't stop shaking. I'm overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I keep seeing flashes of you doing other things in my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way I feel in my heart.
I was foolish to ever thought these wounds might have healed. Just as scars remain on her body, so too did they remain in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds, though, the ones inside her still seemed to be raw and bleeding. She just didn't such a good job of acting normal that I'd begun to think she might have gotten past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there because it brought back those memories.
That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry.
Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him?
What?
Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire, I might be able to make it happen. Cast a curse on him, perhaps even a fatal one. Really? Ignore the fact that he's my father. I don't consider that man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. If, hypothetically, such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him?
No, I would not want that.
Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what that man did, he deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you, and you still shake more than a year later, and you can just let him get away with it with the goodness of your heart? Hypothetically, if you wanted to curse him, I
wouldn't do it even hypothetically. And no, not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just a coward.
A coward?
If curses were real, and he were to die by one, then I would never ever be able to forget. If my resentment for him took his life, that would mean he had damaged me so permanently, I was never able to get past it.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting perspective. That's really interesting.
I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking now, but one day I want to be able to proclaim proudly that it no longer has any control over me. But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you asked out of concern, and that's more than enough for me.
A soft smile spread across her lips, but all it inspired in me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was still trembling so much. But what was I to do? What was I, unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bollingers, to do? I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't I? I couldn't do anything. Could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think. To stop running from the problem. To figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses or angry words. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle. I took the hand that had traced her scars and slid it around her waist. Even now, her trembling showed no signs of abating. I will never, the one thing I could do, hurt you again, was wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you here with me. My throat's getting a little sore. I hope I'm not getting sick. All I ask of you for now is to be at my side. You can be scarred, you can quiver, but please don't apologize for it. Please don't feel bad about it. I promise not to turn my head away from your pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. I have no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I am a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can for you. Oh, fetch, man. Oh, tell me there's no better proclamation of love than that. Tell me that there's one that's better than that. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Muffled whimpers resonated against my shoulder where she had buried her head. Oh, poor Giselle. Eventually, they grew into unfettered sobs. And my bedchamber was enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usually strong-willed, cheerful, optimistic Giselle wailed from the depths of her soul. The past year, she had constantly been nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments when she had wanted to cry like this but couldn't. So starting now, I was going to try and support her too. I was sure I would mess something up, because I had little experience being caring. I was probably probably anger her, possibly stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I had found my resolve. I had to overcome my hesitation. I was sure I could do it. That I could recreate a place where she could find peace. I could surely... The witch. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. Yeah, I just want to see if there were secret messages. I had, as I said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She had decidedly not childlike frame, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other's warmth through my clothes. Between sniffles, Giselle said softly, "One day, I'm certain, I'll be able to, without any hesitation, be properly joined with you, and it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can't control the shaking, but eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too." The affection infused each and every word is palpable. Sometime later, she drifted off to sleep, exhausted. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams. Dude. Oh, I'm wrung out like a sponge. Oh my gosh. What a freaking crazy day. I wonder if this is going to be the memory, like the actual, like, I thought we saw the memory before, but what if this is the memory that we saw when we entered the master bedroom, like the first morning after? Fetch, man, oh my gosh, I was taken on such a ride. There were highs, and then there were lows, and then there were highs again. I went on like 3 major rants, which is kind of unfair to the progression of the story, but I don't care. Man. You know, I always thought Fata Morgana was going to make me cry at some point, but that was today. It wasn't the bawling, but it was pretty darn close. Man, I love this story. Thank you for everybody who recommended it to me. Fetch. That was so stinking good. What an incredible depiction of true love. I want to be able to write stories like this. I feel like I'm decent at writing stories, but I can't do this. At least I don't think I can. I really want to try, but I'm so happy that people exist that can make these kinds of stories and make me feel what I feel right now. Oh my gosh. And that's what makes this channel so fun. That's what makes this kind of content so fun. There's no other place I've ever been besides visual novels that can make emotions this raw and so powerful, be brought out. Maybe the closest are some books, but even then, there's something so amazing about a visual novel, isn't there? I just love it. All right, I'm gonna go and decompress and process some of this. So I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna leave you here, but I look forward to next week. Wow. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel and joining me for this story. That was fantastic. This is definitely one I'm going to be putting out, saying like, hey, everyone I know, you need to play this one. Because, oh my goodness, this was incredible. I can barely breathe. I feel like I was right there with Michel. Like, he's like my spirit animal. Like, his voice, he talks so much like my inner monologue. It's kind of creepy. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Thank you so much for joining me for the House of Fata Morgana again. Oh man. Oh man. So good. I look forward to talking to you in the comments section, even in Discord if you have more you want to talk about, or if you want to post memes or whatever you want to do. Yeah, I'll look for you there, man. Whoever you are, thank you for being here. And I hope that you can join me next week for the next one, and that even when this tale ends, we can continue to walk through the stories together. But until the next video, watch me or have to see me next. I'll see you there.